everyone, thanks for coming back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by Curls Plus Pretty. Today we're going to make some DIY flaxseed gel. It's not a traditional hard hold gel like you might be used to, but it's great for increasing definition in your curls and encouraging more curliness as opposed to waviness for my type of hair. I've made this recipe several times before and I absolutely love how it comes out. So I've laid out what you need to get started. You need a couple of measuring cups and you need some flax seeds that are whole and raw, not roasted or ground. You'll see I've added 2 cups of water to my pot and I'm going to add a heaping 1/4 cup of flax seeds. You can change the proportions around if you like, but I found that this makes my gel just about perfect. Later on, you're also going to need a spoon to mix with. You're going to need a large glass or measuring cup. You're going to need a strainer. I'm using a pair of pantyhose and just cut the foot off of it. And then I also have some essential oils out there just because I love to add a little bit of a scent. Those are completely optional, and I have, you'll see, lemon, lavender, and peppermint, but you can sure add whatever scent you like. I would just make sure that it's something that's at least food grade or meant to be put on your body rather than just for aromatherapy purposes, simply because it might come in contact with your hands and your scalp, and it's best to be safe. So I put my pot of water and my flax seeds over medium-high heat, and I'm going to wait for it to come to a boil. That does take about 5 minutes with the way I had it turned up, and then once it's boiling, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I give it a good stir. We don't want any of the flax seeds sticking to the bottom of the pot. The longer they're stuck down there, the more likely they are to burn, and then you're going to end up with a sticky, stinky mess that you don't want to deal with. I've made that mistake before, trust me. As you lift your spoon, you should see these kind of stringy, mucusy type bits dangling off of your spoon, and that's a good sign. It should start looking, this sounds terrible, it should look snottier and snottier as you go. The technical term is more viscous. You want it to be more thick than liquidy, so it should be much thicker than water. As you lift your spoon, each time you can check and see, and as soon as you get a strand of the flaxseed gel to kind of hang on to your spoon and not really want to drip back down right away, you know you've done it right. For an easier to strain gel, you'll want to go for about 5 to 7 minutes at boiling. If you prefer something much thicker, it'll be harder to strain, but it might be the right texture for your hair. You can go longer, 10 to 15 minutes, but I've tried that once or twice. I really couldn't get it through straining through the hosiery that I'm going to use, so I tend to go a little bit lighter on the boiling time. We're getting pretty close here. You can see the flaxseed gel starting to cling to my spoon a little bit more, so I know we're almost ready. And at this point, you'll want to go ahead and let your flaxseed gel rest for about 30 minutes to an hour just to cool down, so it makes the straining process much easier. I have cooled mine down in the fridge to speed it up before, but that is subject to choice. You can choose to do that or not. You'll see I went ahead and put the end of the pantyhose that I'd cut over my measuring cup, and then I'm just going to strain my flaxseed gel, seeds and all, right through that layer of pantyhose there. You could use a fine mesh sieve or strainer, or you could use some cheesecloth. I have found the best success so far with these cheapy pantyhose from the dollar store, and you can wash them and reuse them over and over and over, which makes it really simple. And so what I'm going to do is just hold the top end tight, and then as you see, I run my hand down the length of the pantyhose, squeezing as I go, and all of that gel is coming right out. It's nice and cool. I'm not burning my hands, and at this point it should feel pretty much like your typical hair gel, only it's not really sticky. It is viscous, like I said. You can see it sticking to my hands a little bit, but it doesn't feel tacky when I am touching it. It just feels mostly slippery and kind of snotty. It does come off kind of in clumps. You'll see I tied a knot in the top of the pantyhose too. That kind of helps the seeds from sliding up too much so that they stay in the bottom and I'm able to get a better grip. This can take as long or as short as you want. If you want to get every last little bit out, you can keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing until your hand gets tired, because the stuff keeps oozing gel out for a long time depending on the thickness of the gel that you've created. But for me, I find this process usually takes about another 5 minutes or so if I'm really doing it right. I've sped it up just for the video's sake, but usually this takes a little while. Next, we'll add our optional ingredients. I'm going to use my lemon essential oil, a little tiny bit of lavender, and then a bunch of peppermint. I love that minty smell, and it makes my flaxseed gel smell really, really fresh. I usually do about 3 drops of each, and I'm heavy-handed. You sure don't need to use that much. 1 or 2 drops of each is probably more than enough. And then I'm going to use my stick blender. This guy makes my flaxseed gel such a nice texture. The gel tends to be kind of gloppy when you first pull it out of the strainer, and so this blender tends to just help make it a little bit creamier, a little foamy, and it really blends all of the essential oils that I added in there nicely too, but this way it avoids any of that gloppy texture. And then I am going to go ahead and freeze this. You can keep it in your refrigerator for up to 2 weeks or so in a sealed container. I usually just put mine in a little glass jar. But because I like to prepare things ahead of time, I will plop it into some ice cube molds and freeze them. And then I can keep them in a little Ziploc baggie in my freezer for a very long time. I think I've had some in there for like 6 months and they're working just fine. So you will know if your flaxseed gel has gone off or is not doing you any favors anymore. You'll know by the smell. It is absolutely horrid when it gets to that point where you shouldn't be using it. So you can always do a little whiff test and see if it's still good. So I'll take you through my wash routine real quick with this flaxseed gel. This is where we're starting. This is day 4, stretched out, itchy, dirty, gross curls. I'm going to hop in the shower really quick, and I wash just with the Max Green Alchemy Scalp Rescue shampoo, and I use my little silicone scrubber. And then I also use the Max Green Alchemy Scalp Rescue conditioner. You've probably seen the video I did using this brand before, and I absolutely love them. I still use them anytime I feel like I really need to clarify my hair, which today was one of those days. A little bit of finger detangling, but not too much. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a little squish, tick, and dish just to really squish all of that in there and make sure my hair is really hydrated and make sure it is getting enough of the curl pattern that I want. Then I'm going to go ahead and do a little drizzle rinse, get most of that conditioner out. This is the flaxseed gel. I'm going to go ahead and layer that into my hair. I'm sorry about the camera angle. I will get better at this, I promise. It's hard to film in the shower. I just gently coat my strands, praying hands method, and kind of gliding it over. And then I use the Curl Talk gel from Not Your Mother's Curl Talk line. I plopped in my t-shirt for about 20 minutes and then decided to diffuse my hair most of the way today. I start by hovering over my roots, and then I will eventually get down to the ends, but the flaxseed gel doesn't lend itself to a very hard cast, and so for that reason I like to avoid touching my hair as much as possible until the very end of the diffusing process. Okay, here I am to scrunch out the crunch. So far I did the diffusing as you saw, I did some air dry for the last littlest bitty bit, but it was mostly dry after the diffuser. I did go to a quick doctor's appointment and tried to leave the crunch in, and then I came right back, so it's been maybe another almost an hour. And you can see, like, I've got some really coily curls in there, which is kind of fun. My usual is 2B to C mostly, and then a little 3A, but getting a few more of these in here. So the top is a little bit more loose, but the bottom has definitely still got some crunch. So let's go ahead and scrunch it out. I find that I can still smell the essential oils a little bit that were in my flaxseed gel, but they're not too strong, and it sure doesn't feel overpowering in any way. And I really only notice it when I right here, getting my hands and my nose into my hair. It smells pretty good. That lemon lavender peppermint combo is pretty nice. It's not taking much
pressure at all to scrunch things out. I'm just kind of enjoying the feel of it. It's really satisfying, right? So this is not taking nearly as much. I mean, I could have done 2 scrunches and been done with that. Let me do a quick flex. Go upside down over the top. Just get a teeny bit of volume in there. And then let's just rearrange. Yeah. So for DIY homemade gel, that is not too shabby. I love it. It's nice and soft. I did add that little bit of the Curl Talk gel over the top for hold because I want to try to make this last for several days. This usually lasts me 3, 4, 5 days sometimes if I'm really lucky. But probably it'll be more like 2 to 3 because I'm exercising a little more than I have been in the past. I am doing a couch to 5K. We're almost to week 9, which should be, it's supposed to be the last week, but I'm not anywhere close to a 5K, so we'll keep going. So the next videos you can look forward to are some one brand wash days. I can't wait to share with you some of the brands I found that have worked wonders for my hair. I might be able to share some brands with you too that worked okay for me, but might work much better for you depending on the type of hair that you have. So if there's any brands in particular you want to see or any techniques that you want to see or you have questions, feel free to reach out in the comments down below. And if you guys would please, pretty please, go ahead and like this video if it helped you, if it did its job in showing you a little bit about how to do DIY flaxseed gel. You can certainly feel free to comment below or subscribe if you want to make sure you get to see the future videos that I have coming out. And that's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel again. I can't wait to show you what's next.